Hi, hello, hello. We're plunging ahead with these amazing mystery booster playtest cards. Looking at the next 20. Corrupted Key. As long as it's tapped, creatures you control have menace and death touch. Ooh, now that is really, really cool. Normally, keys in Magic are artifacts that untap other artifacts, so this is kind of a cool subversion of that. It's corrupted in that it only works when it's tapped, which of course is just the subversion of artifacts in general. Artifacts only used to work when they were untapped. That used to just be a special rule about artifacts. And if you look at a lot of old artifacts, they include now Oracle text that says, as long as Howling Mine or whatever is untapped, just to retain that functionality, since they got rid of that rule. So this is cool. You need to come up with some external way to tap it, which is a clever deck building challenge. What comes to mind to me is that the best thing is to just animate this. There's like Ensoul Artifact. Check this out. How about this for a 1-2? Turn 1, Corrupted Key. Turn 2, Ensoul Artifact. And now you have a 5/5 Death Touch Menace creature on turn 2. That seems pretty good. But there's other things that could work as well. Yeah, this is neat. It seems potentially quite strong. There's probably some other cheap, some other cheap creatures that can tap artifacts for some benefit. I don't know. Cyclopean Titan, zombie giant, and it dies. 2 target lands become swamps. Ha! I like it. Exile it. Tap target creature, then return it to its owner's hand. Okay, this doesn't seem too wacky. Things can become other lands. They do that actually pretty often. I'm not quite sure why it exiles when it dies. I guess just to prevent some really crazy combo of, I don't know, continuously doing a 1-turn reanimation thing, turning their stuff into lands, or turning their stuff into swamps. It feels like if you're going to go to that effort to slowly disable a deck's mana, a deck that, of course, can't be black. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see how this is like ever good. I don't see like what setup makes this good. This also can become, but it like taps, so you can't replay it and then use it again. They went really out of their way to make this like not a combo card, and instead just like a big fatty that has some kind of disruption stuff. Yeah, all right, sure. Domesticated Mammoth. Woo, look at these token copies of real cards. I'm so shocked that they even considered doing this. It seems like such a logistical nightmare to have to like look up a card, see what it does, make a token that does that. Like in terms of experienced players, it's not going to be really that big of a problem, but it's such a kind of a barrier to entry that most new players would read this and be like, well, what the hell does that mean? But yeah, I like this. This is really a cute card. So of course you have to run something to get rid of the pacifism. Pacifism. What pacifism? Okay, whew, that was weird. Makes it so it can't attack or block. So it's got amazing stats, but it's pretty useless. Very cute art. I like pretty much everything about this card. I'm a little iffy on the existence of this mechanic, but if Magic was a digital-only game, then I'm all about something like this. Domesticated Watercourse. There's a battlefield tapped. And blue or black. Until the end of turn, it becomes an equipment artifact with equip 2. Ah, well that's quite fun. So of course they have man lands, lands that can turn into creatures and swing and usually have some nice effects. And this is quite similar to that, but it becomes an equipment instead. So that's cool. I love everything about this. The problem is like I see like to me the value of those man lands is often that they survive board wipes, that they're nice finishers for more controlling decks, that basically it all comes down to they don't require other creatures, they can become your creatures. And it's like you don't have to have other creatures, which is like very, very powerful to not have to run creatures in order to deal damage. So the fact that this needs a creature as well to equip itself to. And the fact that it costs 4 mana just to draw a card. And you need a creature that can get into. I don't know. Look at this art though. Do over. Restart the turn, except with do over in exile. So this is one I don't think they're ever serious about. This is like something that they probably pitched for a silver bordered card, and then they were like, no, this is too stupid for even silver bordered. Yeah. Restart the turn. What? That's actually so interesting. That would lead to such interesting gameplay. You've gained all of this knowledge. You do something different. You know how your opponent can respond to a certain extent. Oh, it's so cool, but it's so stupid. I mean, again, if Magic was a digital-only game, this could be a very cool avenue to explore. And I could even see a card game where this is like an inherent mechanic. This is like part of the game at the most fundamental level is restarting turns, going back in time, learning things, spending some resources such that you go back and have another try at it with that increased knowledge, but then less resources, that sort of trade-off. This all seems really cool to me, but a card like this isn't really going to get us to that sort of gameplay. It's more just going to get us to a long argument. Enchanted Prairie. Enchantment Land. This is something I think they've talked about doing before. Of course, they've done the artifact lands before, which turned out to be pretty bonkers. Had to be banned quite quickly out of Modern, and I think also were banned in Standard. But I think enchantments are a little safer just because so fewer things care about enchantments. There's much fewer number of enchantment payoff cards or things that can eat enchantments and grow or anything like that. So I think this is like a safe one to try. Worst case scenario, it's like, well, we screwed up again. Also interesting, like these are tapped dual lands. The artifact lands were just normal untapped mono lands. I think untapped mono land is actually a lot stronger for this sort of synergy. In that you can play an artifact payoff, and then you have 2 artifacts in play turn 1. This doesn't have that same acceleration potential, really, so I feel like this card is kind of safe. I think it's probably worth playing with, and I don't see what would make it hard to implement in the rules, given that they already have artifact lands. Enchantmentize. Okay, alright. This is, like, not something they can't do. They've already made cards that turn you into an enchantment. What's it called? Song of the Dryad? Oh wait, maybe that turns you into a forest. Yeah, it turns it into a forest, but the rule support seems to be here. It still has its abilities, but it's no longer a creature. This is a little different, I guess, because this just turns it into a land. It doesn't have its abilities anymore. But I think this is really cool. I'd kind of like to see them try to make this card. I just don't know if it would be like good, because as far as removal goes, it's really weak because they still have like abilities, and it's much more expensive than other blue effects that just permanently tap it or make it not attack or block and like shut it down more effectively. So I guess it's like you want to be enchant creature or enchantment. So you can put this on an aura, and then it loses its aura card type? No, because aura is a subtype. What was anime ass art too? See, I'm confused. I don't know why you would enchant an enchantment with this. I guess you can enchant this, and then it's no longer a land. But it can still do this, because this isn't its basic land ability. This is just an ability it has. I'm confused. I don't know why you'd ever want to play it on your own stuff either. I guess to make it harder to remove? There's a lot more creature removal than enchantment removal? I guess? I don't know. It's weird. Weird card. Enroll in the coalition. You are a flag bearer. Ah, so this is cool. Choosing a target as part of casting a spell or ability, your opponents must choose at least one flag bearer at a table. So this is a reference to a really obscure mechanic that didn't get a whole lot of support. Oh, we gotta actually... I thought they were called something flag bearer. So yeah, there's this creature type flag bearer. It's not like an actual special creature type. It's just all the flag bearers have this ability, which is that if you are targeting anything, you have to target it. So now you are a flag bearer. So this is probably not at all supported by the rules, giving a player a creature type. But why not? I think, you know, if they got rid of this line and just had it flavorfully that you're a flag bearer, but you don't actually become a creature type, they could really easily print this card, and I think it seems cool. It would just be your opponents must choose you if able. Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Like, no more targeted burn removal that has to go to face, for better or worse. I don't know. I'm quite interested in this card. It's so silly though. You are a flag bearer. Everlasting Lich. Can't block, can't die. This creature has indestructible, can't be sacrificed, and doesn't go to the graveyard for having 0 toughness. But there's other things that can still kill. Like, it can still be exiled and stuff. It just can't die. So I don't think this card's actually all that good. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though. The fact that it has 0 toughness is kind of cool. Evil Boros Charm. Okay. What? So, what? So you can cast this for double black. And then, so this, to me, this feels like this is some sort of joke that maybe it's like a more direct reference that I don't know. But it seems to be kind of like challenging you to see how this actually fits the color pie. Because I think black can do all this stuff. Like, black can do this. Like with Lingering Souls. Black gets lifelink, black sometimes gets haste. I don't really remember black doing this, but I guess maybe black can do this. And black can do this, kind of soul drain effects. Usually it's just players, but whatever. Okay. Sure. Experiment 5. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa. Okay. A +1/+2 counter. This is a reference to Frankenstein's monster, who can get all sorts of wacky counters. There's probably other stuff that can go wacky counters too, but this one comes to mind, and it seems to be kind of a flavor overlap. Yeah, they printed this card. Isn't that fun? Back when Magic used to reference pop culture directly instead of kind of doing its own spin on it. I prefer the doing its own spin on it thing, but it's kind of fun to look at these old cards and just be like, yep, it's Frankenstein. Wonder what Mary Shelley would think. Here he is. That tragic misunderstood beast. Look at all his counters. Anyways, this is just so crazy. You can only pay this mana with dual lands. Now, I don't like this symbol because Z to me is like kind of like X. It's like a variable. And in fact, they've used Z as a variable before. Geez, I don't remember what the card is called. But there's a silver bordered card with X, Y, and Z in the mana cost. Yeah, this is very silly. But I do kind of like the idea of requiring mana from dual lands. There's that dinosaur that you can only cast with basic lands. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, it's like spend only mana produced by basic lands to cast this spell. So you could, an easy way to just is like non-basic lands. I think that alone would be very cool. You can only use non-basic lands to cast it. 5 kids in a trench coat. Counts as 5 creatures for spells and effects that count the number of creatures you control. Whoa, now that is a lot of fun. I wonder if there's a way to break this wide open. I kind of doubt it. I don't know. It's cool though. If something like this ends up broken, I'm just gonna be happy. Ends up as if this card could ever exist. But yeah, probably the rules problem here is that spells and effects that count the number of creatures you control is actually kind of hard to pin down. Like intuitively, we can tell when we're counting our creatures, but mechanically, I don't know if there's something that can actually encompass all of that. Otherwise, this card seems perfectly fine in a really cool design space. Form of the Muldrifter. Woo! Whoa! So Muldrifter, if you don't know, a much beloved card. Muldrifted? Muldrifter. One we see in Pauper all the time. I watch a lot of Pauper videos. That's why I said that. It's not like I actually play Pauper. Yeah, it's just a big fish. Draws you 2. You can either pay 3 to just draw 2, or you can wait and get a little fish and draw 2. It's sweet. So now you can just Muldrifter out your whole hand. That's so beautiful. I love it. I so love it. Again, it looks like they're really seeing if they can push into this space of referencing other specific cards and having cards behave like them. Again, in a digital-only game, this would be trivial. Yeah, it looks like they really wanted to see if this was something worth doing, something worth introducing to the game in terms of complexity. And they had some serious ideas, and now they're having some fun with it too. Frenemy of the Guild Pact. Oh, that's so cool. So this is pretty neat. I think this is really cool design space to actually care about allied colors and enemy colors. I don't think that has ever been acknowledged on a card before. Actually, I'm almost 100% certain that it hasn't. So I probably don't need to tell you this, but you can tell which ones are allies and which ones are enemies. These ones are, all the ones that are next to each other are allies. All the ones that are not are enemies. It's not like that would be difficult to introduce to the rules, and you can always quickly tell what they are in case you forget by looking at literally any card. Yeah, I don't know. And of course, they're always designing around like allied colors. Get gold cards way more frequently. They'll have like cycles that are either allied colored or enemy colored of lands and stuff. So it's something that's like obviously acknowledged by design, but it's just not acknowledged in the game. I don't know. It seems like some really cool design space. It's just so funny to me. Okay, let's move on. Frogkin Kidnapper. Ransom it. Woo! Now that's fun. That's actually a lot of fun. Now, of course, in a world of just targeted discard or spell hijacking cards like Spell Queller, Kite Sail Freebooter, so on and so forth, this is a lot worse. Because normally it's like you take their card, and then if they can get rid of the thing that took it, they get it back. This is almost strictly easier. They don't need any specific type of removal, they just need 3 mana. So one thing that's kind of complicated about the rules is the ransom effect I think remains even if the frog dies. I'm not sure, but I think that's how it would work. So that's kind of a strange memory thing. Mark Rosewater is mad. Look at the frog too. I don't know. A lot of stuff to love about this card. I think this is a cool mechanic. It's just like it has to be pushed if it's going to compete with the existing effects that are like this. And this doesn't seem that pushed. I mean, like, how expensive is Kite Sail? And it's also 2 mana. Like, this card seems way stronger. Sure, it's non-creature, non-land, but... well, I don't know. Frontier Explorer. I love it! I love it! I love that it's a cat just out here chewing on grass, too. I love it! What's wrong with this card? Why did you print this card? I love this card! I love this. I love that it's a 2-1 for 1 too. Its stats are pretty push. You get him with some damage, and then in the late game, when its stats are irrelevant, you just start cranking out planes. So I don't actually know the rules for this specifically. When you're sideboarding, I think you can add as many basic lands as you want. Like your sideboard virtually contains an unlimited amount of all the 5 basic lands. And I guess wastes? I don't know. So, no, I don't think wastes. But I think the other 5 basic lands. This is so cool. This is so cool. I love this card. I love this card. I wish this was real. What a tragic set we're looking at. Generated Horizons. Look at this art. What? This art is actually super high effort. Actually, a lot of the arts are pretty high effort. And then you have this, which is even better. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Land tokens. So they're really trying these other types of token spaces. I'm into it. I'm into it. Oh yeah, this is great. Hey, I used this phrase earlier in a meeting. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I think this card is sweet. It's probably quite strong because you can ramp into it really early and then you're just ramping continuously for the entire game. You have multiple out. Yeah, this seems crazy, but I love it. I wish it was real. Geometric weird. Look at this art. Ooh, the way the shadows are kind of lining up is a little surreal. At the beginning of each end step, you may have geometric weirds, base power, and toughness each become equal to the greatest number of spells and abilities from different sources that were on the stack simultaneously that turn. This card will never, ever, ever be printed. Wizards hates referencing the stack. Memory issues out the wazoo. Counting. It's kind of no, it's actually really cool though. So, I mean, it's like really matchup dependent. A lot of matchups, even too like controlling matchups, won't necessarily have gigantic messy stacks. But then certain really interactive decks against other interactive decks will end up having like 10 things on the stack. Just counter wars and sneaking in abilities and all sorts of desperation scries and stuff. Kind of the problem though is like both players need to participate in order to get a really big stack typically. You can kind of do it on your own. Like you can hold priority and respond to all your own spells throughout your turn just to boost up something like this. Which is kind of a cool line of play too, because that has downsides. Like you can't resolve the earlier things and make decisions based on that. I don't know, it is actually a very cool card. But all I'm saying is that like in most situations, to get a massive stack, it does require both players. Ooh, or you can play this in multiplayer and then try to cooperate with people to make it big. But yeah, it's just sort of like, well, the other player won't participate because this thing is already on the battlefield. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a really cool card though. It's so bonkers. Gold mine. What? Whoa. Okay, hold on. So legacy. It's not just a. It's not just the format. Imagine they made cards that had an ability called Legacy, and you could only activate them if you were playing Legacy as a way to try to make it like power level balanced both for standard and Legacy. Okay, but that's not what's going on here. There's types of games like Pandemic Legacy is one I've heard of. You're playing the game, and then while you're playing it, I believe this is how it works. You're actually marking things like on the board. You're actually permanently changing the way the game will play out going forward, I think. So when they say mark, they might just really mean mark. Not mark water, but like draw an X on the card. Otherwise, what could this be? What could this mean if not for that? You get 5 activations of it per game, but then why not just use counters? Maybe it's 5 activations for it per match. So it's not like you're actually ruining your card for all matches going forward, but between games in that match, the marks remain. That's kind of cool, but then for casual play, it's like when do they decide to remove the marks? Or maybe you really do permanently mark the card, and and once you've tapped this, I mean, really after you've tapped it once for mana of any color, you're incentivized to just get another copy and swap it out in your deck. This is bonkers. I guess I should try to find an article about these cards, and maybe it'll explain more. At the same time, I could just see them being like, I don't know, figure it out, figure it out, figure it out. Do whatever, figure it out. These aren't real cards. What do you think? Why would we care how you play them? Figure it out. Golgari Death Farm. Okay, this is one of the cards I saw before, and I immediately cracked up. So this is a real deep reference. It's only because I'm such a huge Magic nerd that devours so much Magic content that I get this one. They do a contest called the Great Designer Search, where they're basically looking to hire someone to help make cards. So they put them through all these trials, these quizzes, stuff. It's pretty interesting to follow. You get to see a lot of cool designs from the prospective designers. And you get to see Mark Rosewater critique them, blah, blah, blah. It's quite interesting. So they had this quiz. One of the questions was, you have a gold creature, a 2-color creature with flying and vigilance, and it's not blue-white. What is the second most likely color pair for it to be? And the answer is actually black-green, and almost everyone got this wrong. And a lot of people complained that that answer doesn't make any sense. Flying is very, very rarely in green. Vigilance is also quite rare in green and pretty much non-existent in black. I can't think of any vigilant black creatures. That's like a huge color pie violation. And there was some logic for it. I don't remember at all though, like why this was actually justified. But they explained why, and I don't know. It's that part I forget. I remember the controversy. I don't remember the actual information. So I guess that's bad. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Just a boring card otherwise though. That's it for this page. We still have a long way to go. I hope you're enjoying maybe learning a bit about Magic. It's really fun to try to evaluate these cards just because they're so friggin' crazy. But what a tragic set. There's so many cards that I wish were real. Like this one I think would be cool if it was real. This one, if it could work, I'd be curious. Like this one, it feels like a whole other game is like lurking the potential of this card. Yeah, there's a lot that I like here. Okay. Tragic, you know? They'll never exist now. Alright. That's all for now. Bye bye.